G'day, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Isaac Butterfield. I'm a comedian from Australia. I've been doing this now for 10 years, and I've been making YouTube videos for about 6 or 7 years. Unfortunately, I can never go back to England. Yeah. I don't know if you know this, but that part of the world right now is under a regime that is bordering on the totalitarian. It's descending into chaos, and it's only going to get worse. That's my fear anyway. I don't think as a comedian I could step foot in the UK and be safe. Safe from being, it's just absolutely mad me saying this, but safe from being arrested. I see what people get arrested for in the UK, and I look at that and go, I can't fucking go there. I'll be fucked. I've been lucky enough to do shows throughout the world, through Australia, America, the UK. And when I did tour the UK in 2019, I absolutely loved every single moment of it. There's something about that part of the world, the history, my connection to it through my ancestors. Edinburgh was just the most amazing city. You can't believe that it's real. In Northern Ireland, Belfast, the stories that people have just blew me away. No pun intended, obviously. And even in London, like I know a lot of people give London a lot of shit, but it is an amazing part of the world. The history there is just unbelievable. I met a Queen's Guard who was standing guarding the crown jewels in the Tower of London, and he recognized me. He's not allowed to speak. He walked up to me and whispered something. I didn't hear him the first time. I said, "What did you say?" He came back and he said, "Me dick stinks." That's a true story. He said that to me. That blew my mind. I love England. I love Ireland. I love Scotland. I love the UK. I love Northern Ireland. But how do I go back? I have people asking me all the time, you got to go back. When are you coming back? I can't. Something happened over there. And I think it was in the early part of the 2020s. I don't know what it was. But something happened where the government got a taste for control. They got a taste for telling people what they can and cannot do. Like a rabid dog getting the taste for human flesh. They've got it now, and now they can never go back. There seems to be a whole group of people that live there and in every country in the Western world that enjoy government control. They don't want to push back. They want to be told what they can and cannot do. That is terrifying. And since then, we've seen the implementation of different rules and different laws that control what people can say, do, and think. This is happening in the UK. This is happening in Australia. It happened in America before Trump as well. Now, don't get me wrong. This was happening prior to the 2020 event that I won't mention. Think about Jordan Peterson in Canada in 2016. That's when that kicked off, when he was compelled to use people's pronouns with the threat of being fired. It was built throughout the 2010s, but it was that event, COVID, I'm talking about COVID, that really pushed it over the edge. And in the UK right now, control and coercion by the powers that be is in full fucking force. Look at it. Look at this.
And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth.
This is in relation to some comments that you made on a Facebook page.
You were witnesses saying, obviously, people, while they're over here, etc., we let them into our country, etc.
A woman has been arrested by Cheshire Police in relation to inaccurate information on social media.
Because someone has been caused, obviously, anxiety based upon your social media post. That's
not his.
Why you've been arrested.
In Russia last year, 400 people were arrested for things that they said on social media. How many people do you think were arrested in Britain for things they said on social media last year? Take a guess.
I have no idea.
3,300.
Really? Arrested for what they'd said on social media?
Yeah.
My goodness.
In Britain.
Do you see why I would make a video saying I can't go back there? I can't risk being arrested for something that I say on social media. Now, remember, I'm a comedian. You know, I say jokes and I've been in trouble for jokes, but I also have opinions, and some of those opinions may not fit the narrative of the particular part of the world that I'm in. For example, I was kicked off of TikTok for saying that men can't get pregnant. Am I going to be arrested as I walk into the Tower of London Because I say that men can't get periods? Is that what's going to happen? It was the government of the UK who came out and said, think before you post. The UK has threatened, all right, or warned, as they say here, its citizens to be mindful of posting content deemed offensive and threatening with imprisonment. You could go to jail. So does that also mean things that are said on stage? Is comedy protected here? And what if I say something on stage that people say, oh, well, he's a comedian, he's saying a joke, but I didn't find it funny? Then it mustn't be a joke, it must be real. The Crown Prosecution Service posted a warning to social media platform X, which was amplified by the government's official social media accounts, warning citizens, think before you post. People are being arrested all over the UK for things they say on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, wherever. So what does that mean for someone who is not from their country, who turns up and says something that perhaps isn't in line with how in this case, left-leaning government thinks? And it only seems to be getting worse. So what if I turn up on your shorts? What if I rock up and I say that men can't get pregnant, that being fat isn't healthy, all of these things that are deemed to be offensive to people? Men shouldn't fight women in boxing. Crazy things like that. Pretty outrageous things. Does that mean that you rock up at my Airbnb that I'm staying at with my family? You come and fucking lock me up? Now, don't get me wrong. I know that comedy, well, I don't know, actually. I assume that comedy is protected. But you understand my thinking here. It's got to be somewhat dangerous to say things that aren't in line with the mainstream way of thinking. And when I say the mainstream way of thinking, I mean what they print in the newspapers or put on the news on TV, or what's allowed in the mainstream conversation, okay? And even though the mainstream conversation seems quite large and it seems quite big, most people aren't having it. Most people are the silent majority and think in the way that everyone watching this thinks. It's not just England. I mentioned Edinburgh before. What if I do a show in Edinburgh and someone in the front row is an obese trans person who gets upset at something that I've said? What about the hate crime laws there? According to the hate crime bill in Scotland, me saying something mean, like I often do when I interact with someone in the crowd, if they're loud or they're being annoying or whatever, or if it's just fun. What if I do that? Does that mean that I'll get arrested by Scottish police? This all has something to do with the idea and the wording in these bills, like stirring up hatred. That's 7 years imprisonment. You can get locked up in prison for 7 years for stirring up hatred, whatever that happens to be. That's such a loose term. A person commits an offense if they communicate material or behave in a manner that a reasonable person would consider to be threatening or abusive with the intention of stirring up hatred based on age, disability, religion, sexual orientation, transgender identity, or variation in sex characteristics. Like, at what point do we look at that and go, stop protecting people from things they know? Don't get me wrong. Obviously, there is genuine hatred out there, but thinking things and just disagreeing with people or saying things because it's funny is not any of that shit. And you should never be locked in a cage. You shouldn't be locked in a cage for saying words anyway, but you should never be locked in a cage just for shit like that. This all reminds me what Lenny Bruce dealt with in the 60s. And I'm not saying I'm fucking Lenny Bruce. Calm down. But he was called the most shocking comedian of his day. He was arrested once in 1961 on obscenity charges, 3 times in 62. In 1963, he was ordered to leave England after British authorities got wind of his performance at a London club, and he was arrested again in 1964. My question is this where we're going in the UK? At what point do they go after comedy? Maybe they're not going after comedy right now. Maybe they're just going after regular people who are just talking shit on social media. But what happens if I turn up and say something outrageous, which I should have absolutely every right to say? Is this what's going to happen in the UK? Maybe even in Australia? Comedy should never be safe. It should never be a safe space. That's fucking shithouse, okay? If you think that, then you're not a fan of comedy. You are a fucking pussy, all right? In my humble opinion. So, to wrap this video up, I can't see myself going back to the UK for some time. Maybe not for a long time. Maybe I'll have to wait until my career is dead in the water before I dare show my face back there again, which is unfortunate because I love it there. But I guess the greater question here is, why should I have to think like this? Why should I have to be concerned about being locked up because of things I might say on social media. And again, I'm not saying outrageous things. I'm usually just talking shit. Your thoughts, your beliefs, they shouldn't be policed by the fucking police, all right? If you say dumb shit, if you say offensive things, like even if it is a joke, if you say offensive things, if you believe offensive things, if you think something that's horrible and mean, it shouldn't be controlled by the powers that be that walk around with guns or have the ability to lock you up. They should be policed by other thoughts, by other people's conversation, by things that other people believe, right? Debate, not by fucking the police. And I guarantee you the police in the UK don't want to deal with this shit. And okay, I'll admit this. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I have to overthink things. I've got a family. I can't go to the UK and then get arrested. What the fuck's going to happen to my wife and son? I don't know. Comedy should be protected, and maybe it is. And maybe you can let me know in the comment section if it is protected in the UK. But when so many people are arguing what is and isn't comedy, who knows what's protected speech? Everything should be protected speech. Fucking just madness. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I am on tour though, throughout Australia at the moment, doing some new shows, working on some new material. So come and see me. I'd love to see you. Be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. Me dick stinks. Toodle au revoir. Bye-bye.